Here with Brian Consumes, ready to talk Sabres hockey. So, where are the Sabres this year?
Where do I think the Sabres are this year?
Yes.
Well, I'll say this: I'm a perpetual fan, so I'll always be optimistic to start the season until I have not a reason to be. So to get that bias out of the way, um, the Sabres are in a very difficult division. Um, but I think if we had to list off 10 things that they needed to get right this season, I think they got 9 of them. So I really think they have all the tools they need to put up or shut up and take that step forward that they need. Um, so I think the Sabres are in a pretty good spot right now. Of course, we could nitpick here or there, but I think the talent is there, and the team needs to put it together. And so we'll find out if they can do that.
So, happy where the first line is?
So yeah, first lines that I saw projected was Hall, Eichel, and Thompson, right? So
Right.
yeah, Ralph Kruger is the first one to tell us all he likes the pair system, and it seems to be that the pair is going to be Hall and Eichel. And I'm not in the locker room. I don't. We're just speculating here, but I'm pretty sure that a part of bringing Hall to the team and why he signed his 1 year deal with us is not only the money and not only just to be with Kruger, but to play specifically with Jack Eichel. So, no matter what anyone thinks, I think that pairing we're stuck with for better for worse. Um, and I wasn't so happy about Kane and Eichel. Um, I was never really a big fan of Eichel and Reinhardt, and actually that was for Reinhardt's sake. I think he was held back his own development because he was always paired with Eichel. Not saying he's a bad player, but I think he could have done more. But as far as Hall and Eichel, you could probably put anyone with those two, and you're gonna get results. But I will say I think it's really unfortunate we only saw Thompson for it was only a couple of games. I think it was last season before his injury. Um, I think it has potential to be good, and the main reason why is what I see in Thompson as a player, and it's always been there as a player. Is I think one of his strengths actually is his poke check. He really is one of the few tall players to actually take advantage of his reach. And what at least in my view, as I see his reach, he causes some unexpected poke checks, which causes a little chaos in the play. And that's the type of thing that you really need out of that third line mate on that line is one somebody who can cause turnovers and get the puck. And on the flip side, the other thing you want is somebody who can finish when they two playmakers there set them up. And Thompson's always had a shot ever since the beginning. There's never been a question there. So I think the tools are there. I think he's put on a lot of muscle. He didn't look slow in those scrimmages. So I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, chemistry and all that matters, but we'll see where that goes and see how long it lasts. But I'm pretty optimistic about that top line. I don't think I'd change it for anyone else, to be honest.
All right. So, where are you on the second line?
So our second pair in there, of course, is it seems to be Stahl and Reinhardt, and already we could see that there's definitely chemistry there. You've got two very high IQ players playing with each other, and you could already see from scrimmage one to scrimmage two some advancement there. I'm really happy for Reinhardt. One, because he's away from Eichel, and I think that alone will help. I think we saw that in the prior seasons. Whenever he was away from Eichel, he actually played better, in my opinion. Um, now that he's with Stahl, he's also has a veteran to look up to. Who's he had to look up to this point? Are you gonna tell me Brian Giunta was someone he truly looked up to? I'm not maybe fully on board with that, but Stahl is definitely a talent of Reinhardt's own caliber, and he's right there playing with him. And I think you know already you're gonna see some major benefits there. And who they end up on their left wing, I think is the big drama that a lot of the fans and all that you see are talking about right now. And right now it's Olafson. Maybe some people think that should be Jeff Skinner. Um, where that lands, I'll just say, the scrimmages, as much as you can draw from it as you want. I saw every play die on Skinner's stick, and I don't think that's what's going to be best for Stahl and Reinhardt. And so I'm not disappointed by him going out. And if Hall's on the first line and Skinner only plays left and he's not a good fit on the second line, then he's in the bottom six, and that's just how it's got to be. And Olafson, I think, is capable. He's definitely not a line driver or anything like that, but he has the shot. That's undeniable. He's got two great playmakers with him. I think he's going from Eichel to Stahl and Reinhardt. Not many players get to have that kind of talent as their line mates when they first walk into the NHL. And so I think he's really set up for success there, and he'll be okay. We should be pretty happy. We've got a top six that we can gladly put ahead of Skinner before we need to find a line for him. So I'm feeling pretty good about that second line too. That left wing might be there might be some turnover there, but so far I'm seeing chemistry. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on any of these lines here?
Yeah. Well, last year I counted how often people put moved the goaltender for a teammate, and one of the things that I was surprised about was that Reinhardt rarely passed it to Eichel, and Eichel would rarely pass it to Reinhardt. And the same was true with Larson and Girgensons. So the two pairs that they were they used most often, neither of them passed the puck to each other. So so I don't know if it's luck or what, but I'm very happy that neither pair is still together, because neither pair works. And whether, I think in the first, exhibition, it was pretty evident to me that Reinhardt and Stahl would pass the puck to each other, and that Eichel and Hall would pass the puck to each other. Now, does that happen in the third and fourth line? I don't know yet.
Yeah, I got you. I have a question though on I find it very interesting. You can pull those stats up like that, and it's I do actually a lot of statistics and things like that for a living. I haven't dove into all hockey analytics and everything there, but the one question I have on that though, just to digress a little bit from your point, is that metric that tool that you're using to see that passing. And the first thing I can think of to play devil's advocate there is when you said Larson passes to Girgensons, and I don't know if you're saying that's a back and forth type of thing you're looking, or if it's a one way. But does it count anything like when they cycle the puck? Because, you know, a
No,
solid pass I can see, but I don't, you know, is that metric also capturing when they're cycling the puck and leaving it in a location on the boards and the next guy picks it up, or is it missing that
no.
pass as well?
Yeah, no. What I was trying to get to last year was I didn't think the Sabres moved the puck across the ice enough. You know, like like if you watch Toronto and you watch Marner, he, you know, he gives what's his name, the guy with the mustache, a
Matthews?
lot of open net. You know, so, so I wanted to count how often that happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what I came up with, not this window. Oh, there's this one. Okay. So, last year I counted maybe 50 games, 59 games before I got bored.
Ah, okay.
And Eichel made 32 passes to a teammate across the ice, and received 15 passes from teammates. So one of the things that I'm going to do this year is count when they happen, because a lot of them happen in enough power play situations where it's fairly easy to make that happen.
Sure.
But I didn't do that last year. I'll do that this year. And this is just coming from the highlights, so it's just looking at the 7 minutes of highlights.
Yeah.
But I also did Vegas. How can I hide this? I need to hide that. I also did Vegas. And if you look at these numbers, the 32 passes from Eichel, and Joel Hansen was 15, and Reinhart was 17, and Dahlin was 19, and Olsen got 33 passes, and but if you look at Vegas, Vegas, this is probably how many games? It's probably 40 games. So it's 2/3 the number of games before I got bored. But the whole team is much higher. Marchessault has 24. Stone has 22. Pacioretty has 21. And, as you multiply those by 50%, as a team, they are much higher than Buffalo is. And that was basically my argument, was that they don't move the puck between themselves enough to score enough. And that's the scoring problem to me. It's not a talent issue, but it's a strategy issue. So Eakin had 8 last year, which is, what a, third, fourth liner does, but So that's, you know, that's what that project was last year, and this year I'm going to do whole games. And I thought for a while that I would cover a bunch of teams, but I'm not going to cover a bunch of teams.
Yeah.
So I may only walk through the Sabres for and against. And I tried to decide whether, like, how often they passed it across the crease mattered to how often they scored.
Right.
And the problem with that is that the highlights are kind of geared towards the scoring. So it's hard to tell how well a team is playing, not coming from watching the whole game. So but I think it's very useful as a way to understand hockey, because, like, I can search for Larson 2, and then I'd see that they're well, let's start at the beginning. There's a Larson to a Gergensen here. There's a Larson to Skinner here. There's another Larson to Skinner there. Larson to Poso, Larson to Reinhardt. There's Larson to Miller. You get that idea of who he's passing the puck to.
Mm-hmm.
And it worries me watching the Sabres is that they didn't recognize it very quickly who Larson would pass the puck to.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good point to make, and I know I can recall interviews of Kruger himself who would say this is one of the things that he's stubborn to a fault of, and the self-awareness of knowing that he's stubborn with forcing he's trying to force chemistry by keeping things together, because his belief is it'll eventually work itself out, rather than go and disco with the lines and never finding anything Joe. He knows where on that spectrum he lies, but he knew that coming into Buffalo. I know he's received criticism openly from many people. He's answered to it, and his answer is pretty much still been, we're not going to do anything. And I do agree that's troubling, from the sense that it's too slow, I think, to react. If we're in the playoffs, the coaches that's where coaching really shines, is in a situation like the playoffs. Not only recognizing the matchups, but recognizing what doesn't work and fixing it right away. And you don't have the luxury to be stubborn or anything like that. And Kruger's been very good at coaching short tournaments where he gets a group of players, he gets them on the same page quick enough to exceed in a short amount of time, and then it's all over. But so his stints in the NHL, what have they been? They were 40 some odd games in Edmonton, and there he stayed with the same line, even though they started the season hot. They went on some crazy losing streak, didn't even make the playoffs, and he never budged once in the line pairings. And we pretty much saw the same story happen last year. Yes, I'm happy this season. It looks like we've got much better chances, but with the new pairings. At least the top two lines pairings, Ekin, a Pozo, and things like that, which seems to be the other one. Who knows? I just don't think there's enough data points there to even begin drawing conclusions. But yeah, this is. I do think you're on to something here, especially with what were some of the downfalls last season, especially compared to some other teams that don't have these deficiencies like that, and what the Sabres need to do better. So, and one other thing there too, I think is worth mentioning is how Skinner, Kruger right now is really pushing his system, right? And the story out there, Skinner might be on a different page, and I'm curious what page all of this is, because I know Skinner's not a pass first kind of player in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know what.
Well, hang on. This 14 isn't 0.
Well, you know, yes, you are correct.
He's not VC. He's not Oposo.
Right, he's a phenomenal skater. He was getting ice time, and as a part of that, he's going to have the puck more often, right? And that's the kind of thing we would take this kind of data set and comb through to try to maybe normalize this, even the next level of normalization, which you're not going to very easily pull off with the way this is being compiled right now. But if we had that available to us and we looked at it in that way, I'd be curious how that 14 necessarily would compare. But I like how you did this here, where it's is it make passes made on the left and passes received on the right, and at least there you're skewing to the receive on the Skinner side, right? Olofsson is really your, I don't need to run any statistics to tell you Olofsson there is definitely receiving many more passes than he is dishing them out. But yeah, I would, the way I would say with Skinner though is I would never describe him as a pass first kind of player, right?
No. But my point is that people think of Skinner as never passing the puck, and they think of Reinhart as being this distributor, and one of them plays on the power play, and the other one pretty much doesn't. But when you count them, they're not very different.
Mm-hmm.
So what I try to avoid is a belief based upon I occasionally see a great pass out of Reinhart, but if you count the number of times that it happens, it doesn't happen as much as you think it does.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's definitely fair assessment to make. I will say that with Reinhart, when it's, I agree with you that the idea that he's a puck disher is maybe a little overstated, but and I don't think that's necessarily even a negative. It's just the way that or when he was choosing to pass the puck is what I always think is what's been holding him back. And what I see when on him on the ice, and this is just my intuition here talking, but when Jack is on the ice, it seems like he's always trying to get the puck to Jack as soon as he can. Now, you pass it to Jack, he can skate it all the way down into the zone him all by himself faster than anyone else can, and it's everything's going to be fine. But Reinhart is a very capable player that I would say 7 out of 10 of those passes, I wish he would just take 2 more steps before deciding to make that pass, because you never let your opponent ever even have a chance to make a mistake if you don't take those first couple of steps. And I think he is definitely a player that is capable of taking full advantage of those mistakes, and I think he's never given himself the opportunity to make that. And that's one thing that I do have a lot of hope this year, that Stahl is, how do I want to say, he is not going to be the fast, you know, carry the puck into the zone all by himself player that Jack Eichel is. Not at this stage in his career, and that's really going to force Reinhart to not only take the puck some more, but just like Stahl has already said in interviews, Reinhart needs to take the shot more often himself too. And maybe he prefers wrist shots over anything else, but wrist shots are still very dangerous shots. Goalies don't like to take. They don't know where it's going. It doesn't mean it's a bad shot by any means. So I'm really looking forward to. I agree with you. I think we're going to get a lot more passing in all of our lines this season, just because the chemistry might be a better fit.
So there's a lot of talk on Saber Space about the kid from Finland.
Ruotsalainen?
Ruotsalainen. So you are not a Ruotsalainen fan?
I have not watched him at all outside of scrimmages. I be fully honest with you there. I'm not saying what he's capable of or not capable of, or where he's trending as a prospect. I just know he's coming in at an age where, if is the answers of, is he big enough, is he physically mature enough, should be behind him now, and it's whether he can keep up, whether his brain can process it, and whether he's got the physical attributes. He's because Jack was out on that first game, right, and he was stepping in the shoes there, and I thought he was playing catch up the whole game there. I saw him, the impression I got every time I saw him with the puck is he was treading water and he was struggling to keep up. Now, putting him with Hall real quick and playing him against Reinhart Stahl most shifts, that's a tall order. I understand that much, but for what that player needs to be, which his ceiling in our lineup's probably a 3C. It's not like he's going to be a fourth line grinder. We can talk about what's proper structure for our lineup and what I think our issues have been in the bottom six for the last handful of years. But I just didn't see anything special, anything that he was doing that Smith would have not done in the same situation, or some other players as well. Just nothing sparked there, and I'm usually pretty quick to try to find the positives in a player, and I just didn't see one.
In about the past year, I've stopped being able to trust full stats that I get on Elite Prospects, and I now more pulling apart box scores to see if people are scoring during the power play, scoring 5-on-5, and what are their scoring. So I've been looking at Ilves or Ives or however you pronounce that team in Finland, and this is 12 games, that I pulled apart, and he had in those 12 games he had 17 points. 10 were on the power play. 2 were empty net, shorthanded. So he had five on 5 points for the 12 games. And during that 12 games, Duarte had, that's not how you pronounce that, by the way. The 6 points. Maselli had 8, and Maselli's going to outplay in the NHL, and Valimaki's going to play in the NHL. And he had 9 5-on-5 points during those 12 games. So what I believe is that he's a power play specialist, and if you want to replace Olofsson with him, that's fine. But if you're looking for 5-on-5 scoring, you're not going to get it from him. So I am probably the least excited person regarding Russ Lanning on Favor Space.
Yeah, and I think it's fair. Some of these players really need to have, that special attribute. And what's Olofsson has? He has an elite shot, right? And I'm not afraid to say that he has an elite shot. The rest of the package is maybe wouldn't make him an NHL player on their own. But right now, last season Olofsson was there receiving 33 passes, probably almost all of them from Eichel, right? You could put that player.
That's easy to find out.
Okay.
Eichel to 15 of the 33.
Yeah. So, and maybe, is Reinhart everything else, or are they mostly power play? Yeah, Dahlin, Reinhart, Dahlin. Yeah. So, yeah, then the rest is power play, which, but he definitely was that moment. I know last season, the first handful of games, he scored his first 6 goals in 6 games or something like that. It was some crazy statistic for a rookie, right? I mean, he's an older rookie, but that's
one. This one. So we're looking at Olofsson. Why is this not working? Oh. So no games. He had an assist the first game. He's up to 3 points after 2 games, 4 points after 3, 5 after 4, 5 after 5. Six after 6, 6 after 7.
Yeah, it was something like the 6 out of 6. He was, point per game pace. And that's the early part of the season, right? And once teams figured out, don't let him pass to him, or on the power play, don't leave him open. All of a sudden our power play just fell apart, and we never responded to that, which is another gripe I have with on the coaching side of things right now.
Right.
But
yeah. So when people talk about the power play last year, I think they have to talk about it outside the first 10 games, because they're not going to get those free 10 games again.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and you know, and if you look at all the games and you take out the even strength and the short-handed and look at points, you know, you know, 5 points per 60 is okay, but it's not like great compared to other teams, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and he was producing at an elite pace, and then he was taken out, and I just don't think we made the changes that were needed to make him successful again.
yeah,
And
well, I think the last couple of weeks they started to have uh, Darlene handle the puck, and then Eichel would get more opportunities from Darlene, um, where they spent too long having Eichel hanging on to the puck, and he really only had two options, and one was shooting it himself. You know.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so, you know, and that worries me about Kruger is that he spent a long time, making the change that he obviously had to make, and it worries me about this year, that
hmm
that things, changes don't happen fast enough, and you know, um, you know, if if you look at the power play from last or the penalty kill from last year, um, you know, it's most of the guys that were good, Larson was at 7.94. Um,
goals against. Yeah,
Bogosian was at 4.71. Um, Frolik is gone. So they changed a lot of the penalty kill guys, but they seem to have brought back a lot of the guys that were part of the problem, not part of the solution. You know, so I worry about the penalty kill too. You know.
yeah. I think it's a system thing, and that's the one thing with statistics in hockey that I'll always have a gripe with is the statistics or all the data that you can have to generate this. It's all biased by the players are put in positions by the coaches and told to do something. And
Right.
what that is unfortunately not a data point that is very well captured in a lot of the models or a lot of the quick techniques. And I think especially a perfect example where that really falls apart is stuff like penalty kill. If we changed assistant coaches, I'm not a big fan of Steve Smith, um, but if we changed our penalty kill, bringing different assistant coach tried something different, the same players can look entirely different. And that's one thing that many hockey models have failed to predict time and time again. You take a player from one team, put them on a different team, all of a sudden they're all their statistics completely look different, and you can see the statistics are descriptive but not predictive in any way. We can look at it here because this is descriptive, right? But it's not necessarily. It's hard to draw that line into prediction on what's going to go next if we know something else, into this equation and why this is the result that came out changed. The other thing
But
here that
yeah,
that I've heard is like, the problem in the power play or the penalty kill rather might have not been the players as much as it was the goalie or the goalies.
but yeah, well, people believe that, but I'm not sure that's true. Um, you know, like if you look at the Boston goaltending, the um, the shooting percentage again is pretty much the same for the power play versus the shorthanded, and to me that's not about the goaltender. That's about the defense not giving up bad shots.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Buffalo has an enormous difference between the shooting percentage in the power play and the shooting percentage in the even strength. And I think that comes from them giving up high percentage penalty kill shots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it's not about, because, you can look at that two ways. You can say, they, they, they give up a lot of, penalty kill goals because of the goaltending. People think, well, that's obvious, but if the shooting percentage in the penalty kill is so much higher than the 5-on-5, to me that means that they're giving up bad shots. And I don't expect that'll change this year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know Readers was definitely a acquisition in the same mindset of Frolik, right? But I know there's some hope there, and well, we'll see. I know there was some coaching changes on the back end, and I don't know everyone who exactly is doing what systems. And honestly, I think if we come into the season with some different strategies on some of these, like the penalty kill and power play, um, it'll just come down to what they're doing, and then also I think how quickly other teams react, and then do we make adjustments after that or not? That's I think that's all a wild card, and I just unfortunately we're not privy to knowing whether those plans are happening or not. But and understandably so.
So to finish this, where are they for the season? They make the playoffs?
They are the last team in.
The last team in. That'll be a good way to end it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, how do I end this again? Okay, stop